Hi everybody! Those of you who have watched my She-Ra reviews have probably noticed how I get all bent out of shape when She-Ra has an unexplained superpower or when her sword just conveniently transforms into whatever she happens to need. But of course, He-Man did it first, and in this list I'll be taking a look at a number of weird superpowers which He-Man only seems to use whenever the story calls for it, but which are conveniently forgotten for some future episode. And just to make sure we're talking strictly about He-Man's abilities, I'm not going to include too many of the instances where He-Man's sword just conveniently saves the day. On with the list! Number 10, Super Speed. Okay, He-Man's trademark power is that he's insanely strong, although the show is a little inconsistent about how powerful he is. Sometimes he has trouble lifting Castle Grayskull, other times he can push the moon out of its orbit. Now, one of the reasons He-Man needs vehicles in Battle Cat, at least for me it seems, is that despite being super strong, He-Man is no faster than the average person. Except that in quite a few episodes, He-Man is able to run faster than most forest animals, and in The City Under the Sea, he even runs fast enough to counteract a whirlpool. This really begs the question, how exactly is He-Man able to do that, and if he can just run this fast, why does he even bother using other modes of transportation, like the Dragon Walker? I mean, maybe He-Man needs to build up momentum, but I'm always kind of bothered by it. However, it's the least weird of his weird superpowers, so we'll leave it at number 10 for now. Number 9, Super Jump. Okay, this next one is sort of a lead-on from the previous entry. Now, one of my all-time favorite He-Man episodes, and the first one I ever saw, was Like Father, Like Daughter, which showed Battle Cat carrying He-Man over the walls of the fortress of Stardika. Honestly, even though it's a very fleeting scene, to me this was important in establishing why He-Man needed Battle Cat around, since he couldn't just jump over the wall. Except in a few episodes where He-Man is able to easily make a superhuman jump to reach the top of high walls. I know he's pretty much the Eternian long jump champion, but this honestly always bothers me. I mean, what does He-Man really need Battle Cat for then, other than fighting the random henchman once in a while? And this entry could be explained by his insanely strong legs, but yeah, it still really bothers me. Number 8, Flame Sword. Okay, I said I wouldn't talk about He-Man's sword too much, but I just had to mention this. We know that He-Man has the uncanny ability to perfectly deflect lasers, energy bolts, and magical projectiles. So clearly, He-Man has superb reflexes. But in the Dragon Invasion, he does something which boggles the mind. He uses his sword to deflect fire. Yes, fire.
You missed.
Number 7, Super Breath. Alright, in the recent Glimmer Come Home review, I noted on She-Ra's Wonder Woman style blocking, but He-Man is equally guilty of ripping off DC superheroes for superpowers, such as his incidental uses of Super Breath. Yep, He-Man can apparently blow so hard that he can easily knock over the bad guys. My question is, why doesn't He-Man always use this? It would make fights with villains so much easier when he can just knock them all over. Number 6, not needing a spacesuit to breathe in space. Also piggybacking off of that previous entry, He-Man's superhuman lung capacity, which allows him to blow Skeletor into next week, would really explain how he's able to stay underwater for so long in the episode The Search for the V.A. Joe. But what it can't explain is how He-Man is able to breathe in the vacuum of space. We saw this happen once in Jacob and the Witches, but even in his appearances on She-Ra, He-Man makes do easily without a spacesuit, while She-Ra actually needs a helmet. Just wow. Number 5, using himself as a lightning rod. Okay, I have to say this one bothers me a lot. He-Man is all about teaching kids important lessons. Don't take candy from strangers, don't eat things you don't know what they are, always do what lifeguards tell you, etc.
Threat of drowning is very real. That's why it's important to be aware of the rules of water safety. Don't play jokes in the water. Always be sure to swim in an area where an adult is watching you, and never swim alone.
So why is it that He-Man has to set a horrible example to children when it comes to being a human lightning rod? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And in Trouble's middle name, he uses his sword to absorb a power storm. Hell, the conclusion of the episode, The Cat and the Spider, involves him using the power of the storm against a giant cat demon. In other words, he uses himself as a lightning rod and redirects the lightning. Seriously, I know his super constitution probably helps out with this, but it just seems like a really dumb thing to do, even if it's to defeat a giant muscular cat demon. Number 4, becoming a human drill. From the Cold Zone, which was the final episode of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, in this episode, Cobra Khan stops the flow of lava in the realm of the Reptons, and He-Man has to drill his way down to reignite the lava flow. And he does this by picking up a stalactite and spinning. Now, tying things back to DC, there actually is an episode of Justice League Unlimited where Superman was actually doing this very same thing. But He-Man doing this honestly raises more questions than it answers. Okay, forgetting that I don't understand how the momentum of him spinning in place allows him to move forward, how the hell does he even know where he's going? And He-Man is also not impervious to lava, otherwise why would he avoid it all the time in prior episodes? Superman is nigh invulnerable, he can fly, he has laser eyes and X-ray vision. Number 3, turning into a human hurricane. Now, as much as I love the episode Evil Seed, there is a moment at the episode's beginning which always bugs me. He-Man has to fix the dam and asks Duncan to make some boulders. Then he spins his sword so fast he creates a tornado so strong it lifts the rocks and blocks the hole in the dam. Not that I think He-Man could generate a tornado fast enough to blow boulders away without catastrophic atmospheric consequences. Surprisingly, the thing that bothers me the most is the accuracy at which He-Man is able to do this. If there was an actual tornado this fucking strong, wouldn't those rocks just fly all over the place? And what I love the most about this entire scene is how Duncan doesn't think any of this is out of the ordinary.
Oh, of course, he's making a tornado to gather up the small rocks.
Of course!
Number 2, making glass out of desert sand. From the Temple of the Sun episode, what do you do when you want to stop a giant scorpion but not harm it? Well, He-Man just rubs sand hard enough that it turns into glass and makes a giant cage for the scorpion. No, seriously, his hands gotta be chafed like no tomorrow after this. And how did he manage to make the sand into a nearly perfect rectangle? Number 1, mending a broken chain. Alright, the most unusual, weird, and completely miraculous thing He-Man has ever done. It's over so quickly you wouldn't even give it a second thought, but here it is. He-Man mends a broken chain without any tools.
There you go, fella.
Amazing. Just put 2 pieces together and it's fixed. Wonderful. There's so many situations in He-Man where this could have been useful. I can't imagine why He-Man doesn't just do this all the time. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power to mend my bicycle chain. And that's all from me for now. I'm Hanno the Haunted Mäkinen. I have the power, so can you.
He-Man.